Hello Aqua friends, welcome to my channel. My name's Nicole and today I have a prelude to fall. I have a bonus segment for you that turns this painting into a multimedia project. So make sure you watch to the end so you can see how I change things up. The watercolor paper I use is either Arches or Hanamule collection series. And you're going to need a pencil, a masking fluid, and a masking fluid pickup. As far as brushes, I did use a flat brush and some round brushes, various sizes. And for the watercolor paint, I used ISO Yellow Deep, Yellow Ochre, Azo Yellow, and Transparent Pyrrole Orange. For the reds, I used quinacridone Scarlet and quinacridone Red. For the greens, I used Permanent Sap Green and Leaf Green. I also used Ultramarine Blue for the sky and Van Dyke Brown for some of the imperfections on the leaves. So I'm trying to get into the habit of first drawing out some thumbnails to decide on the composition. So I have my sketch, a charcoal study, and two different backgrounds that I tried when I did my color swatches. I used pastels. It's a quick and fun way to get the pigment on the paper quickly to decide on your color scheme. The next step is to sketch your leaves onto the watercolor paper and mask out the leaves with masking fluid. You want to make sure that's very good and dry, and then we will start wet on wet watercolor technique using our flat brush and wetting the paper very well to get a really nice, beautiful blue sky. The better saturated your paper is, the longer you have time to put your washes down so that you could get a very nice cohesive wash. To help your paint blend well, you can hold it up at an angle and gravity will help to bring that pigment down your page. So then we're going to let that whole thing dry really well, and then we can remove our masking fluid. Then we're going to start painting wet on dry watercolor technique. I'm starting off with this yellow leaf and I am using my yellow ochre. So my plan is to skip the leaves that are right beside this leaf so that I don't get any back runs. So while the paper is still wet, I am dropping in my Van Dyke Brown or any browns that I have in my palette. I use sepia a lot too for shadows and for little imperfections. So skipping that other leaf beside it, I'm going to my green leaf and I am using sap green to put down my first wash. While it's still wet, I'm using my Van Dyke Brown and or sepia is also another good choice to put in those shadows in the leaf. A lot of the times I will also use contrasting colors to get a neutral shadow. So the contrast of green would be red, and that will make a very nice shadowy color. Going on to my brighter yellow, I am using some ISO yellow. And dropping in some orange. So I'm just following the reference photo and putting those colors in where I see them. Again, skipping that other leaf and going to my red leaf. I'm using my quinacridone Red for this leaf. I absolutely love this reference photo from Unsplash. I was very drawn to the translucent effect of the leaves that overlap one another. So with my browns, while it's still wet, I'm dropping in those little imperfections that I see on the leaf. Just adds a little realism to it. Autumn is by far my favorite season. I love the crispness of the air, sweater weather, pumpkins, apple harvesting, and warm spice aromas for our olfactory delight. I am taking a glass dip pen to scratch in some of the designs. A fun thing to do is to collect some beautiful leaves when they're at their peak, press them into a book like we did when we were kids, and then I'll take them out and I'll do quick little inspirational studies with my paint later on. So once the first set of leaves are dry, I am going back in to do the other two leaves and putting those colors in there. I'm using my quinacridone Scarlet for this leaf. I just absolutely love this corally color. It's like one of my absolute favorite watercolors. And this last leaf, I'm using my leaf green. It's kind of a yellowy green leaf. I used the quinacridone Scarlet for the bottom part of this leaf that's a little dried out. Now for the second layer, we have to wait for our first layer to dry, of course, and then I'm starting off wet on dry, putting in the veins that I see in the stems of the leaves. This dries very quickly, and then I can go right into adding another wash on my leaves. Adding in those veins and little imperfections adds the realism. So as you can see, I'm working in the same manner that I worked my first layer, skipping the leaves so that the other one can dry. And so we're going to go through and do this second layer on all our leaves in the same manner. So I'm just checking with my finger to make sure things are dry enough that I could add those leaves in. My favorite color! And then love that translucent effect from the reference photo of these, the leaves overlapping. So getting that in there. Putting in my shadows. That's why this reference photo makes such a great painting for watercolors. I kind of turned my page on an angle so that I could easily draw the string that the leaves are on. Just darkening that up. Now I'm going to do a value correction here. I'm referring back to my photo, and notice the leaves on the either end are supposed to be the same value. Mine are not, okay? That green leaf needs to be darker. I find that my eye is drawn just to that red leaf, and it does not move across the page to look at the other leaves. So having another anchor of the same value will allow our eye to move across the page to seek out that same value and take in the whole composition. This could be a final product. It's a very pretty painting. It would make a cute autumn card for a loved one. But why stop there? I got this idea to turn this painting into something original and pretty cool, I think, and I decided to add some stitching to the clothesline. I'm using a piece of yarn or floss, would work as well, and in a neutral beige color. I'm doing a triple stitch over my painted line to make this into a multimedia project. So one thing you guys must know is that I used to do a lot of sewing, knitting, and crocheting. Basically, just love all sorts of different crafts. And I'm really miss playing around with fiber. So I thought this would be a fun way to cross over all of my passions into one piece. I'm sorry I don't have the stitching in the shot very much. But if you want to know how to do a triple stitch, you can check out Jan Howell's video on hand stitching, and she does a lovely back stitch, and I'll link her video in the description below. So here's the completed piece. So what do you think about this version? Let me know in the comments below what version you like the best. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you guys next week.